Ever wondered who was actually in charge on a pirate ship? You might picture a captain with an iron fist, barking orders, and making everyone walk the plank. But the reality of pirate society during the Golden Age of Piracy was surprisingly democratic, a lot more than you might think. It was a complex world with its own set of rules, roles, and a unique power structure that kept these floating dens of thieves from tearing themselves apart. So, grab your cutlass and let's dive deep into the fascinating hierarchy of an 18th century pirate crew. Let's start at the top, or what seems like the top. The captain. People like Blackbeard, Calico, Jack Racombe, and Black Bart Roberts are legendary. But a pirate captain wasn't a king. He was elected, that's right. The crew voted for their leader. His primary role was to lead the crew in battle, decide which ships to attack, and navigate the vessel. He was the face of the operation, the master strategist when cannonballs were flying. However, his authority was limited. Off the battlefield, he was just another member of the crew. He ate the same food, slept in similar quarters, and received only a slightly larger share of the plunder, usually 1.5 to 2 shares, while a regular pirate got one. If the crew felt he was incompetent, a coward, or abusing his power, they could vote him out just as quickly as they voted him in. He could be demoted, marooned, or even executed. So, a pirate captain had to be charismatic, skilled, and constantly prove his worth to maintain his position. So if the captain wasn't the absolute boss, who held the real power? Enter the Quartermaster. This role is often overlooked in movies, but on a real pirate ship, the Quartermaster was arguably the most powerful man on board. He was also elected by the crew and represented their interests. Think of him as the ship's manager, judge, and jury. He was in charge of distributing provisions, like food, water, and rum. Most importantly, he was responsible for dividing the loot. He maintained order, settled disputes between crew members, and administered punishments for breaking the ship's code or articles. While the captain commanded during a chase or a fight, the quartermaster was in charge at all other times. He was the one who kept the ship running smoothly and ensured fairness. His power was a direct check on the captain's authority, creating a unique balance of power that prevented any one man from becoming a tyrant. Like the captain, he also received about 2 shares of the treasure. Below the captain and quartermaster were the officers, specialists, who were crucial for the ship's operation. First, you had the sailing master, sometimes called the navigator. This guy was the GPS of the 18th century. He was responsible for plotting the ship's course using charts, a compass, and celestial navigation tools like the astrolabe or sextant. His knowledge of coastlines, currents, and winds was vital. A good navigator could mean the difference between finding rich merchant routes and getting hopelessly lost at sea. Because of their specialized and rare skills, navigators were highly valued. Sometimes they were even forced into service, kidnapped from merchant ships the pirates captured. Next up, the bosun, or bosun. He was the deck supervisor. Think of him as the ship's foreman. The bosun was in charge of the ship's rigging, sails, and anchors. He would lead work parties for repairs and make sure the ship itself was in top condition. He needed to know every rope and sail on the ship like the back of his hand. He was a hands-on leader, often motivating the crew with a loud voice and sometimes a rope's end to keep everyone working efficiently. His job was physically demanding and required immense practical knowledge of sailing. Then there was the ship's master gunner. In an era where naval combat was decided by cannon fire, the gunner was a key figure. He was responsible for the ship's guns, ammunition, and powder. He would oversee the gun crews during battle, ensuring they could load, aim, and fire as quickly and accurately as possible. A skilled gunner could cripple an enemy ship with a few well-aimed broadsides, making the capture easier and less bloody. He had to be meticulous and careful, as a single spark in the powder room could spell disaster for everyone. His expertise directly translated to the crew's success and survival. Of course, you can't have a pirate ship without someone to patch everyone up. That was the job of the surgeon or doctor. Life on a pirate ship was dangerous. Injuries from battle, accidents, and diseases like scurvy or dysentery were common. The surgeon was there to set broken bones, amputate limbs at grim but frequent necessity, and treat illnesses. Most pirate surgeons weren't formally trained doctors. Many were just crewmen with some medical knowledge, or they were captured from other ships. Sometimes, the ship's carpenter would double as the surgeon, since he was already skilled with a saw. It was a brutal job, but having someone who could stitch a wound or deal with an infection greatly increased a pirate's chances of survival. Let's not forget the carpenter. A wooden ship on the vast ocean was always in need of repairs. A cannonball could smash the hull. A storm could snap him. The carpenter was the master craftsman who kept the ship afloat. He would plug leaks, repair damage from combat or weather, and even oversee modifications to the ship. His workshop was one of the most important places on board, filled with tools for sawing, drilling, and shaping wood. A skilled carpenter was indispensable and highly respected for his craft. Beyond these specialists, you had the regular crew, the backbone of any pirate vessel. These were the pirates, the sea dogs, They were the men who worked the sails, manned the cannons, and formed the boarding parties. Each of them received one share of the plunder. They were the voters in the ship's democracy, the ones who elected the captain and quartermaster. They all had to sign or make their mark on the ship's articles, the code of conduct that governed their lives. This code laid out the rules for everything from the division of loot to punishments for fighting on board or deserting. Everyone was expected to fight, and everyone was expected to work. At the very bottom of this structure, you might find cabin boys or powder monkeys. These were young boys, often teenagers, who performed various errands for the crew. During battle, their small, nimble frames were perfect for running gunpowder from the magazine to the cannon crews, which is where the name powder monkey comes from. It was a dangerous job, but it was a way for a young man to learn the ropes and eventually become a full-fledged member of the crew. So, the pirate ship wasn't the chaotic free-for-all we often see in movies. It was a surprisingly organized and democratic society, born out of necessity. This system, with its checks and balances between the captain and the quartermaster, its respect for skilled specialists, and its foundation in a written code, was designed for one purpose: to maximize profit and ensure survival. It was a brutal, short-lived, but functional model of governance on the high seas. A floating republic of outlaws, united by a lust for gold and a desire for freedom from the oppressive naval and merchant hierarchies of the time. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the world of pirates interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments which historical topic you'd like to see next. See ya on the next voyage.